Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to talk to you about place and identity. But really, this is also a talk about how the past or an area's history can inform its future, how we can find inspiration in unexpected places, how we can find inspiration to really inform or define how we want the future to look like, how we can differentiate an area. As people, we're all from somewhere. Our background, it informs who we are, doesn't it? Our early influences, our parents, where we're from, they all kind of set the tone and they define who we become. And really, it's the same with place. If we look around, if we dig around in the history for long enough, we can find really interesting things to say about an area, to attract people, to really leverage those local assets. And actually, we can find inspiration in all sorts of interesting places. So I'm going to try and demonstrate what I mean by that in a second. And I think as people, we have such an emotional connection to place, don't we? And I think it's probably the job of placemakers to help us foster that connection. Because place means so much to us. It says so much about who we are. And I think how we connect to a place, we connect through its past, through its history. Right, what do I mean by that? So by way of example, I'd like to talk to you about Vauxhall, which is an area in South London. We are currently working on the place brand for Vauxhall. Our client is the Business Improvement District. And I'm going to talk about Vauxhall, but actually this can really apply to any area. What I'm talking about is the process of defining an area's identity, of helping that differentiation, positioning and identity. So Vauxhall, I have to be honest, has not got a great rep. That great big thing sticking out there is actually a bus station. That's right in the middle of Vauxhall, and around that is a huge traffic gyratory. There's a tube station and a railway station slap bang in the middle as well. Unsurprisingly, it's pretty polluted. It's noisy, it's dirty. There are all sorts of associations with antisocial behaviour. There's 24-hour club licences, so it's got a reputation for hedonism. You walk out the tube station and you can see MI6 there. If you look up to your right, a little bit to your left is a big glass luxury tower where John Major lives, as does Lee from Blue. Not together, I might add. And a few hundred yards further away, we've got some of the poorest households in London. So it's a place of contrast, basically. And this is where it is on a map of London. So actually, it's slap bang by the river. Westminster is here, it's a 10-minute walk. You can see it from Vauxhall. Victoria is there, and less than a mile away, we've got Battersea Power Station, one of the most exciting developments happening in Europe at the moment. Over 1 million square foot of commercial space. Apple moving their headquarters there, massive deal. The US Embassy, bad deal or not, Trump thinks it's an off-market location, but if we do our job right, hopefully it won't be for long. These are all residential developments that are already coming out the ground or complete. There's loads more that are planned that are not on this map. Of course, the Oval is there for any cricket fans as well. So I'm trying to give some context here and just show that actually it might be a bit of a dump now, but it can't really be like that forever. This is what it could look like in 10 years' time. These towers are all announced. This is actually where the bus station is at the moment. So it's a very different picture. But if you walk around now, you might actually struggle to join the dots. So how can we tell the story? How can we start to change perceptions now? How can we start to generate interest for those that may not be able to see what's happening? How can we kind of accelerate that change? Well, as you might expect, I'm going to say our inspiration we actually found inspiration in the past. Vauxhall used to be an incredible destination known throughout Europe. These are the pleasure gardens of the 18th century. This is where people would come to listen to music, eat, socialise, generally be entertained. It was also a place to drink too much, get up to no good. Lots of antisocial behaviour went on then. You could make eyes at the opposite sex, roll around in the bushes. So, the veneer of respectability was pretty thin. But Handel was a big star. Dickens wrote about it, and Samuel Pepys was also a big fan. So this was a real gift from our point of view. It was a kind of creative jumping off point. We realised that we had to use it because Actually, I was a bit disingenuous about Vauxhall before. Right. I got stuck. No, we're back. No, I've gone too far now. So, damn it, I've ruined the whole thing. Yeah. Right, I was a bit disingenuous about Vauxhall before. It is a place of contrast, but actually, there's a proud local community. It's obviously very slow. It's probably my fault, these massive slides. It is... Oh, Christ. I'll just carry on talking. So, it is a place of contrast. There's a proud local community there, a very diverse local community. They all live, or have lived very happily coexist for many years. I said that there's not much going on, but actually there is stuff happening. You can do a huge range of stuff. You can listen to clubbing edge techno, you can go climbing, bouldering, drink craft beer. There's places to eat and socialise. It hasn't quite reached the critical mass yet that we need for a destination, but you know, it's grassroots. It's happening, it's starting. So our job is to try and accelerate that and promote it. So considering all the different stuff that's going on, its place of contrast, actually it does have a bit of an odd history. It is a bit quirky and offbeat. How can we define a brand identity? What's the big idea that we can come up with that can hold everything together? Well, I'm afraid you've already seen the slides, so I'm not revealing anything. But the destination for different was what we decided we were going to hang our hat on. And just to explain a bit, we're trying to differentiate. We're trying to create excitement and to talk and engage new audiences, to bring people into the area. What we don't want to do is be like other schemes. Battersea, King's Cross, other similar schemes in London. Well, actually, they're not. Sorry, those are one developer's vision. They're going to be amazing, but they're perfect, and they're one developer's vision. Vauxhall's a much, much bigger area. It's a higgledy-piggledy mass of contradictions. So let's make a virtue of that. This is the logo. Jiggly type, deliberately resisting conformity. Our tone of voice. We had lots of fun with the tone of voice. It all came from the big idea. Actually, we want to be inclusive and actually instill a sense of local pride, because you know this is about Vauxhall and instilling that sense of place. It's a little bit anarchic, a little bit left field. It does have a youthful feel, and that's deliberate because we are probably talking to mainly a much sought after millennial audience. Those are the guys who are going to be working in the area, moving in. They're going to be the renters. We're talking to people who are single, maybe in relationships, but crucially, they haven't yet started a family. And I should say, actually, that businesses in the area is now, there's a huge amount of co-working spaces that are opening. And you've got everyone from major charities to fintech startups working in Vauxhall, which adds to the mix. So, we've had a lot of fun with this copy, and actually, we've got the permission to do it because Vauxhall kind of has the reputation to allow us to play with it. We're taking the negative stuff and actually just tackling it head on, trying to flip it around and turn it into a virtue, really. There's no point whitewashing because that is not going to work. We all like to think we're a little bit different, don't we? Especially our target audience. So let's play to that. Again, some fun jumbly type. And different doesn't necessarily mean apart. In fact, for us, it certainly doesn't. We're creating a destination where many people can come together. We're encouraging or celebrating that difference. And actually, we're working on a whole program of events because this isn't just about creating the identity. This is about what we can do to drive people, to entertain them when they're there. So VR, gaming, food hall, you name it. We're working on a destination marketing program. Okay, so, that's all well and good. That's very much aimed at a consumer audience, and it's pretty targeted. But we do need to talk to other stakeholders, don't we? So a B2B audience is actually critical. So we can actually just turn down the messaging a little bit, just turn down the volume on the creative, and actually doing business differently in Vauxhall. That's a message that will resonate. The way we're working is fundamentally changing as co-working becomes more and more prevalent. So it's an example that the big idea can actually translate to many different stakeholders. Okay, so I think that's stuck again. Right, I've got a shoehorn cinema in here somewhere apparently. So this is, and we're off again. This is pop-up cinema. This is actually the Pleasure Gardens today, and this is the one event. This event's actually been going for a number of years, and it brings in thousands and thousands of people every year. People from locally, but also across London. So as an event that brings people together and creates that sense of social inclusion, if you like, it's a really successful one. Okay, to sum up. So I guess the point I'm making is that although I've talked about Vauxhall, and that's London, and what we've done is probably quite London specific, although we hope this is going to work nationally and internationally as we promote it as a destination. The process that I'm talking about can work for any area. What we're trying to do is to get under the skin of an area, to look at the history, look at what's special and different about that area, so we can tell the story, retell history in a way that is relevant for the present. It's interesting, and it supports the vision. So it's really about supporting the future of an area. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. If anyone's got any questions, I'm going to be on the Revo stand 78. I'm going to be at Revo with the big picture, so please do come and say hello.